Good evening. First, this is our recursion chapter. Basically, this is a part of data structure. So, first of all, I try to start any subject keeping our real life in context. Why? Because many theories, many computer theories, as well as many mathematical theories, many mathematical formulas, they have the scientists who were working on them have derived that by observing the nature. And nature is such a beautiful thing. The God has created this world, and there is, I mean, beauty lies everywhere, wherever you see. So, for example, if you see the tree, then a tree has got some pattern. So there is a root, there are branches, then this that branch again acts as a root for sub branches, then that sub branches itself is a small tree, right? So perhaps the scientist might have observed, maybe we do not know, somewhere around 60, 70 years back, there is a definite pattern wherein a small tree is hidden in a large tree. So a lot of small trees are hidden in that one single large tree. And probably that might be the birth of importing that recursion concept in the computational mathematics or computations. So that is the one of the wonderful example in the real world. And the image on your screen on the left hand side, there is a one big triangle, and that triangle has been now divided into sub triangles, and again that sub triangle has been divided into that small triangles. So again, that is also a kind of a recursion, a recursive mechanism. That is the real world. So how it can be, defined in the computational mathematics? So it is defined as recursion is a method of solving a problem where the solution depends on solution to smaller instances of the same problem. So there is a large problem, and solution of that lies in solution of similar small problems. That is very important. So if you can look at that tree, okay, that's why I explained that tree first time before going for the definition. Now, what is the basic concept? A subprogram is recursive when it contains a call to itself. That is a recursion. So there is a large program, okay, in which there is a small program which can call itself. There is a function which can call itself, and that is a recursion. And third basic concept is recursion can substitute iteration in design. Can substitute, not must. So recursion cannot be an alternative to each program which can be solved using iteration. Iteration means loops, right? Those programs which are solved using iteration, that is loops, some of them can be solved using recursion, but not all. And there are some programs which can be solved only using recursion, but never by iteration. So I write something, I call some function. This is a normal function call, right? This is how we have written the program. Now inside display function, if I call display again, this is a recursion because display is the function inside which. Now look at the scenario first of all. This is the main function. This is the display function. As far as this statement is concerned, this is called a function call, and main is a calling function. Okay, this is a function call, and display is the called function. So control comes here. Now this statement is executed, and now here display again is called. So display has been called inside the function definition of display itself. So many times students, in a matter of hurry, I think they call it, they term it as a loop. This is not a loop. This is not a loop, but this is a recursive call. Now here, as far as if we compare this along with this part, then here main is the calling function, display is the called function. Whereas here display is the calling function and display itself is the called function. Right? So if you run this program, this will never terminate. It will go on and on and on. Okay. You may get a error uh, like stack overflow. I will explain that what is that stack overflow. But you will get an error like stack overflow because it will go on calling and calling and calling, never stop that. But it's the recursion call, right? Is it infinite? In a true sense, this is not infinite. They may ask you during interview. So students say it is infinite. Okay, prima facie this is infinite because how much you will bet. But in fact, it is not going to be infinite. Limited amount of memory is there, and since the memory is limited, sometimes that memory is going to be exhausted, and once the memory is exhausted, it will give an runtime error called stack overflow, right? I will explain that. So you'll have to terminate abort this program, not terminate. You'll have to abort this program using the close button, right? Now let's go back to our presentation. Now recursion versus iteration, because a typical program which is explained for understanding recursion mechanism throughout the world is factorial. Why? Because this is the best program to understand. I mean, if you want to understand basics of pointers at the beginner level, then they will explain you the program call by value and call by reference and interchanging contents of two variables. Why? Because this is the best program for explaining the concepts. One more example I can give of how does the break statement works. So at the global level, there is a typical program to find a particular number is a prime or not, because these are the only ways to understand. That's why these programs are taught. As far as factorial is concerned, factorial of a number is concerned, this is the program. Now you have solved that factorial program using iteration, right? Using loop. So you have called the function and using that loop, some for loop or any loop, you solve that program and found the factorial. So if some problems can be solved using loops as well as recursion, then it is our part of the curiosity. Where lies the difference, okay, between them? So generally, recursive solutions are simpler than or as simple as iterative solutions. Okay, sometimes as far as iterative solutions are concerned, recursive programs are simple or sometimes more simpler than the iterative solution. Second point is there are some problems in which one solution is much simpler than the other. There are some problems. Third point is generally recursive solutions are slightly less efficient than the iterative ones. Definitely. The reason I will explain you during the program. I mean, while writing the program. But if they ask you what is the difference, then you have to take into account efficiency of a program, optimization of a code. These days, this word is heavily used, optimization. So as far as optimization is concerned, recursion should be avoided if iterative solution is there, because more memory, more time, that is there. There are natural recursive solutions that can be extremely inefficient. So there are some solutions, there are some problems which can be easily handled by loops, okay, and programmer may tend to use the recursion only because these are easy to write, very simple, but these are extremely inefficient, so one should avoid that. Now, are there types of recursion? Sometimes, I mean, many times these points are not discussed. Yes, there are. Like a variety of ways these are categorized. One is a single recursion, another is the multiple recursion. Single recursion is a normal recursion where function call itself, like searching, okay, searching algorithm in the data structure. All these factorial, all these are single factorial or a power function, okay. All these are single are examples of single recursion. Multiple recursions are like, there is a binary search algorithm or binary tree traversal. Okay, tree traversal. These are basically multiple recursive algorithms. I'm just telling you theoretical aspects. I mentioned at the beginning theoretical aspects. So if somebody asks you what are the types of recursion, you can tell there is a single, multiple. Single is a normal of recursion mechanism where function call itself. In the multiple function call itself, but their methodology is different. Their intention is different, algorithms are a bit different, and applications are different. So binary search, wherein there is a sorted array, a particular sorted array is there of suppose 1000 elements, and you want to find a particular number, whether that number exists in that an array of 1000 elements. So how to find this number, a particular number? So if you go for the loop, then there is a worst case scenario as well as best case scenario. If you find that number as the first element, then loop will be executed only once. But if you find that number as the second last element or the last element, then loop has to be executed 1000 times, right? So there is a threat. There is a threat. So there is a binary search algorithm wherein that array is divided 500 elements and 500 elements. And since the array is sorted, right? Array is sorted. Then it is then once these are divided into two halls, then it is decided whether it is the first array or the second array. If it is if it lies in the first array, then second array is discarded. Then again that second array is divided into two halls. Then the same process is done till the match is found. That is a binary search. Now there multiple recursion is required. Second category is direct recursion and indirect recursion. So direct recursion is basically what we have seen right now. So this is a direct recursion, rather mutual. It is called a mutual recursion or indirect recursion. This is direct because this is uh, display function is calling display. But it may happen that suppose I call here print function. Display function calling display is a direct recursion. Okay. And if I call a print function and if I write the definition here, void print, and here I call the display function. This again, this is now a indirect recursion because display function is calling print function is calling display function. So this is again not going to end. Okay, it will it will. The another term for this is mutual recursion because these are mutually calling each other. Display is calling print and print is calling display. Now this is one more which is asked during the interviews or a viva. So how do you do the recursion? Okay. So these are the three steps. Identify the basic case. Identify the basic case. What is the basic case? That is very important. Why? Because recursion, when you call the function recursively, it has to be stopped somewhere. Okay, terminating condition must be there. Like you have seen that. Okay, we didn't put the terminating condition, it will go on and on. Right? Identify the non-basic case. I will explain you during the programming, which is the basic one, which is the non-basic case, right? So identify the basic case, identify the non-basic case. And third step is identify the terminating condition on the basis of basic case. So terminating condition has to be found on the basis of basic case. Likewise, factorial of a number, factorial of 5. Now, what is the basic case? Basic case is that iterate multiplying number till the 1. Okay, if you come in the reverse direction. So if factorial of suppose 5 is to be found, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Stop this one. So 1 is a basic case. And on that basis case, condition is decided. Identify the non-basic case. So n factorial, right? N factorial is equal to n into n minus 1 factorial. So this n minus 1 factorial becomes the non-basic case, right? See, these are terms which are used in the industries and you should know that, right? Now, what happens behind the screen? That is very important. So each time function is called, a new instance of function is created. This is very important. New instance of function. So each time a function returns its instance, each time a function returns, its instance is destroyed. Okay. Now, this animation is very difficult to show, but I will try my best to explain you, right? Because this is behind the scenes. It cannot be explained in words. It cannot be explained using program, but I will try my best. The creation of new instance only requires the allocation of memory space for the data. So during the recursive call, lot of memory is required, right? So if particular function is there, then like data, functions also takes a memory. And each function call takes separate memory. It's a huge overhead. And again, separate variables will be allocated. Separate memory is there. Separate memory for data items, other variables, separate memory for the function. The instance of the functions are destroyed in reverse order to their creation. These are destroyed in the reverse order. So the first instance to be created, last to be destroyed. So this recursive mechanism works on stack data structure. I will write the program and then explain you. So I will write here real. I will set the number. Right? Because factorials are huge numbers. So I can write int I equals x, I greater than equal to 1, I minus minus. I will write f is equal to f into I, right? Now, if you debug this program, if you debug this, if I enter 4, 5, you can see here there is a num is 5 fact is 66 since it will contain a garbage, and once it goes to the function call, now function will be called. So if you see this now, this is a main function and factorial has been pushed onto that function, on that function. So this is a separate stack frame for main function. This is a separate stack frame for the factorial function, right? Now it will go on, loop will be executed, right? And the value of this will go on changing, right? And now value will be, I think loop will break and the value of f will be returned. Okay. Now when this is returned, that factorial is popped from that call stack. This is called a call stack, right? It is given here, call stack. Actually, it is a function call stack. So that will be popped from this call stack. And once it is done, I will terminate this. Now, if we solve this program using recursion, I will make the changes here only. So I will write here in f, right? If x is equal to 0, return 1, right? Else is not necessary, but I will write because return statement is there. So else is not rated, necessary. The control is going to return. Else f is equal to x into factorial of x minus 1. And return f. So definitely, if we compare this program along with the iterative solution, this is a bit simpler. And there is no question about that. But this is heavy. A lot of overheads are there. How I will show you. Let's try to run this program first and check whether it gives correct output. Yes, it gives correct output. Now, how does it work? On the right hand side, there are two pink rectangles. On these two pink rectangles are the upper function. Upper rectangle signifies the main function, and lower rectangle at the bottom signifies that factorial function. Okay, using a loop or iteration. So there is one main function and one function, and function is called iteration. Helps you to find the factorial, and it returns to the main function. On the left hand side, there is a recursive call. Now, if you see here, these many functions are created inside the machine on the memory. So leftmost is the pink, that is the main function. Then next rectangle is the factorial function. First time it is called. That function again called factorial function. So separate memory for that separate function will be given. All variables will be created separately. New variables will be created separately. Then that function again called factorial function. Second time, third time, fourth time, and so on. Last time when condition is, test condition is met, terminating condition is met, at that time, that function, remaining part of that program is executed and control returns to the calling function. So likewise, it returns and follows the same path in reverse order. That is basis of recursive mechanism. So we'll try to understand this using the debugging tool. Breakpoint here, run to the cursor. Earlier debugging, you remember now. I enter the same number, that is 5, right? Now see here. There is a 5, and now we will step follow the single stepping, right? So now function will be called. Now the function is called. This function is called. This function has been called with argument as x, which contains 5. Now x contains 5. See here, x contains 5, right? Here main function is called factorial. Since main function has called factorial, the factorial function with argument as 5 has been pushed onto the stack, right? This has been pushed onto the, this is a calling function, this is a called function. Okay. Now, this is the base case. I told you about the base case. If x is equal to 0, this is a base case. Now, since x is not 0, so you entered 5. Why we put the base case? Because factorial of 0 is 1. Negative value, negative number, there is no question of factorial and all these things. Okay. But factorial of 0 is 1. You can put the condition as x is less than 1. Okay, you can put the condition like that as well. If x is less than 1. Now here, since x is not 0, control goes to the else part. Basically, it is not necessary to put the else statement, but logic becomes clear. That's why we put f is equal to this statement is executed. When this statement is executed, control comes here, x, now x contains 5, into that expression is getting executed in fact. So x is there, inside that value is there, and it has been multiplied, right, by something. But when control goes at the other end, there it meets along with the function call, which is not a variable, but it is a function call. So it leaves, control leaves here, and another function similar to this is created inside the memory. It has got, now here x minus 1 here is the actual argument, which is received in separate body of factorial function, in which x of that is going to be formal variable. So x minus 1 will be assigned to x. So the new body will be having separate block, separate x, separate, and all this whole this code will be separate. Okay, completely separate. So if I single step this, you can see that now this statement is going to get executed, line number 25, and one more function is pushed onto the stack. Okay, it has got argument as x is equal to 4. So factorial function, one more factorial function, separate body, separate variables, separate memory. Okay, it will be called along with argument as x is equal to 4. Okay, and same thing is repeated because it is recursive call. Okay, again in that body x is not 0. Okay, so it will go on pushing, right? It will go on pushing. X is equal to 2. It will go on pushing. Now x is equal to 2, 1, 1. So last time one more function will be called. X is equal to 1. Now this is the last function called. Why? Because here this condition will match. Okay. And 1 will be returned. Now the question is, many times students get confused. Why this 1 is not returned to the main function? It is not returned to the main function because this function has not been called by main function, but this function has been called by this function body, rather factorial, with argument as x is equal to 2. Okay, so this 1 will be returned to this function. Okay, so that 1 will be returned here for this function, and here the value of x is 2 because it is here. This 2 into 1, this f will contain 2, and that f will be returned to the calling function. Now this function is getting called by this function, right? So similarly it will be executed. You can watch it here. I will go on single stepping. Just watch how the value of x and f are changed, right? Right? So value of x is 1, f is 1. Value of x is 2, f is 2. Now this 2 will be multiplied by 3. So a value of x will be 3 and f will be 6. Right? And functions are getting popped. So when I mean functions are getting popped, it is totally destroyed. So in the theoretical that slides, I told you, when function returns, function is completely destroyed. All variables are destroyed. Memory is released. Okay. So likewise, it will go on recursion. Okay. And ultimately, only main function remains. Right. And that 120 will be returned to the main function. So that is how recursion mechanism works. right? So same has been shown here, okay, only pictorially, right? Now, what are the typical applications of recursion? Okay, factorial of a number we have already solved. Power function, that is x raised. Okay, one good example. Fibonacci sequence, that is one good example of this thing. Tower of Hanoi, then Pollard sequence, very interesting mathematical sequence. Then printing the string in reverse order, this is very interesting problem. Okay, printing the string in reverse order. Then binary tree, don't think unless you learn the data structure. Finding the binary equivalent of integer, that is very interesting problem to solve using recursion. Okay, binary equivalent or a octal or a hexadecimal. Okay, any number. Okay, using the recursion because it is a recursive mechanism. The finding the digital root of a number, right? Digital root of a number is no trickle down to the single. So suppose 1 2 3 3 7 9 is there. 3 7 9 7 3 10 10 and 9 19, right? And 19 has got two digits, that is a 1 and 9 sum of that. So it is a recursion. So 9 plus 1 10. Okay, and then again two digits, 1 plus 0, so 1. So digital root of that 19 is 1. So that is a fantastic example. Then greatest common divisor, that can be solved using, because it is a recursive mechanism. Binary search, file system traversal, whenever you search the file, okay, on your computer, this is recursion mechanism, because there is a root call, we call as a C drive. It is a root, it has got some folders, but that folders again acts as a root for subfolders, right? So when file is to be searched on the hard disk, okay, then binary search or file system traversal recursion is the only way. Okay, loop is not going to help, no other data structure is not going to help, only recursion is going to help, right? So these are some of the typical applications. At least binary tree and binary search, you can skip them. Okay, rest of that you can try on your own. And thank you very much.